Welcome back, welcome back. Only 2 actors have been nominated for an Oscar for films made in every one of the past 5 decades. One, Jack Nicholson, is American. The other was born and bred outside the US, and the films which earned him those nominations, Alfie Sleuth, Educating Rita, Hannah and Her Sisters, The Cider House Rules, and The Quiet American, are not run-of-the-mill Hollywood blockbusters either. Michael Caine is undoubtedly one of the world's most popular actors ever, and I'm delighted to welcome him now. Top of the day.
Hello, David. How are you?
Very, very formal.
Yeah, I never knew that fact until about a month ago. Then someone told me that was true. Because you don't think in terms of decades when you're an actor. You think, you think in terms of those nominations, the ones you didn't get it. I got 2 out of 7.
Yeah. An average of 28%, roughly.
Yeah, and
roughly equivalent to the Labour vote.
Yeah, the other 5 times you have to sit there with that face, you know, when you do that clapping, you go,
so sincere.
The most hypocritical face you ever pull.
Yeah, so sincere, that moment, yes. I remember you. First Oscar you got, you accepted it from somewhere like the Bahamas, didn't you?
It never occurred to me that I would be nominated for an Oscar, let alone win it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was nothing in it. No one ever mentioned Oscars, nominations, nothing. I went off and did my movie, and in the middle of it, they went, just before I went, they said, you're nominated. Well, I couldn't stop going. It's a movie, you know, it's scheduled. And then when I was there, I won it. And I was listening. I was watching it on a television in a hotel room in Nassau, and one with those ears that come up, you know. And just as they said who it was was going, and I'm hitting the TV and everything. It was terrible, and I didn't know. But my daughter rang me immediately, so I knew.
So you knew.
Yeah.
So you knew. And the other important time was when you were watching television, of course, was when you saw Shakira for the first time. That was on television too, wasn't it?
It was black and white television, and an advert came on for Maxwell House coffee. And there was this dark beauty in Brazil with maracas singing, you know, and an awful lot of coffee in Brazil and all that. And I fell in love with this girl. And I said to Paul, my friend, I said, I had a bit of money, I'd been in a few movies, and I said, we're going to Brazil in the morning, I'm going to find her, I'm going to find her. And then I got all excited, you know, and it was sort of 11:30, and we always went down a disco called Tramp, which was run by, you know, our friend, Johnny Gold, you know him so well. And I said, all right, we'll go down, I don't want to go to sleep, I was all excited. I said, just let's go down to Tramp and have a drink. I went down to Tramp and had a drink, and a guy came in who I knew late, you know, and he looked at the 3 men. Oh, he said, no girls tonight, you know, what are we all gay or something? And I said, no. I said, I've seen this most beautiful girl on television, I said, and I'm going to Brazil in the morning to find her. He said, I watched television all night. I didn't see any beautiful girls. I said, no, she wasn't in a program. She was in a commercial. He said, what for? I said, Maxwell House Coffee. He said, we make that commercial. In Brazil, he said, oh, that's Shakira Baksh. I said, do you know her? I said, I'm going to Brazil tomorrow to find her. He said, oh, you don't have to do that. He said, she lives in the Fulham Road. She did. It's quite weird. Yeah. And I got permission to get her number from her. And then she gave me her number. And then she wouldn't go out with me for 2 weeks. It's quite amazing because...
Playing hard to get,
oh, blimey. She had the cleanest hair in England. Every night she was washing her hair and couldn't come out. But so I persevered, but I must say, I've been married to this lady for 36 years and very happily married, but that's how close it came. On the last night that I phoned her, I thought, if she doesn't come out with me tonight, I'm never phoning her again. I'm fed up. 2 weeks I've been phoning. And she came out, which was great.
Fantastic. And they lived happily ever after.
And they lived happily ever after.
Oh, that's fair. You were talking about the decades and measuring the films earlier on that we were talking about. Which of all those decades do you have the fondest feeling towards? I mean, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties and...
The 60s, because it was a change from my life. I was born in 1933, and I went through the Second World War and the rationing and the everything, you know, and right up into the 50s. the war and rationing sort of went on in the 50s as well, you know, and then I was a soldier. I was occupation force in Germany, and then I was occupation force in Japan, then I was an infantry soldier in Korea. Then I came out and it was still dark and gloomy and things were on ration. So the whole world was black and white until the 60s, and suddenly the 60s went into Technicolor.
Yeah.
And it was fine for everybody.
Yes, it was.
And the class thing disappeared overnight, because we in the 60s, people like myself and all the other young people just said, screw it.
And class system, I mean, it did, everybody, I mean, the old Etonian actors were all desperately trying to cultivate your accent,
well,
because that was the way to get a job.
They call them mockneys. No, what happened was, it was the writers, because leading parts had only been written for people who talk what we would call posh, you know, and so it was about the middle class. And unlike the Americans, for instance, the Americans made war pictures, we made war pictures. The Americans made war pictures about private soldiers. We made war pictures about officers.
Yes.
If you look at it, you'll see they're always about officers. So as a working class young man, you felt alienated. And like when I said I was going to go into the theatre, everybody said, who do you think you are? As I was getting ideas above my station, you know, to go into the theatre. I said, well, I'm only going to be an assistant stage manager with small parts. You know, I'm not going to be Laurence Olivier, you know. Yeah. And they said, well, not with your voice, who are you going to play? Well, who I was going to play, I was rather fortunate, very fortunate, in as much as working class writers started writing working class parts. Harold Pinter, John Osborne, you know, Arnold Wesker.
Keith Waterhouse and Willis Hall.
Keith Waterhouse and Willis Hall. I did the long and the short and the tall. Up until then, you know, the theatre had been about Noel Coward, even though he did come from South London and was very poor. But the theatre changed. The theatre changed, and then television changed, and then movies changed.
Yeah, they all.
Well, that was it. It was a wonderful time,
wasn't it? It
was a fabulous time. And then the girls, suddenly you get great news, like you said, the girls are going to burn their bras. Yeah. And you go, oh, fantastic. I could never undo them anyway.
Would never have happened. Would never have happened in the 50s.
Yeah, never happened in the 50s. So they're going to burn their bras. And they're going to wear miniskirts.
Yes.
And I thought, oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, well, we're onto a good thing here.
Yeah.
And the thing was, about the 60s was, the drug of choice was alcohol. So you all went out and got pissed, you know? What destroyed the 60s was drug, because it was illegal. You had to stay home and do it. Yeah. That's when it finished, when the drugs came in.
And the drugs, you said, dominated the 70s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it put an end very quickly to going out and having great fun. You know, because there were a lot of downers in the drugs. You know, you'd be sitting at dinner table with someone, and all he ever said was, "Cool, man, cool." And he thought he was a brilliant conversationalist. He'd just been smoking cannabis for 2 hours.
Yes, if you were at a dinner party in Hollywood in those days where all the other 9 people were puffing away, I mean, the conversation, as you said,
you could never get in the toilet, could you? You couldn't get in, people puffing. I remember I was in Tramp one night with Ian LaFrenne, and he went to the toilet. And because everybody was smoking pot in there, and he went to the toilet, he came back, and he said to me, he said, if anyone actually had a crap in there, it'd be like a breath of fresh air.
Well, we're going to have to take a break there, but then can we carry on, because we've got lots more I'd like to talk about, and carry on, and we'll put it in the can and put it out next week or the week after.
As long as you like.
Thank you.